Good morning, fourth graders. We are going to be continuing with our poetry unit. So today what we're going to be talking about is visualizing, using imagery, and appealing to the senses in poetry. So what does that mean? So we've talked a lot about reading and visualizing what we're reading, right? So it's painting a picture in our mind of what the words are telling us to see. So imagery is another word for pictures. So using imagery is using pictures based on our words. So yesterday we read the poem The Brook. And the brook talked about, it was a poem about how this body of water, a brook, moved throughout its length until it goes to the river. And it talks about it going down hills and waterfalls and hitting fields. And so the way the poetry describes this brook, we're able to see it kind of running over rocks and kind of curving and going one way and then the other way. And so the author of the poem is using its words to help us visualize or see using imagery. Another thing the poem The Brook did yesterday is it kind of had us think about what it sounded like, right? It babbled and it gurgled and it made all sorts of noises. So poetry is super visual and appeals to our senses. It helps us visualize and feel what is being given to us by words. And it even does this too, in some lines being shorter and some lines being longer and chunking together stanzas. One stanza might be about one part of the brook and the next part of the stanza might be about the sounds it makes. So poetry, the way it's structured, really helps us envision what the author's trying to show us. So today we're going to read a poem called The Swing. And this poem was written by poet Robert Louis Stevenson, and he lived from 1850 to 1894. Okay, so we're going to read this poem together, and then I'm going to go over the instructions of what you need to do with this poem. And what I want you to think about when I'm reading this poem is I want you to think about what you see in your mind and what you see based on the author's words and what you feel. Do you smell something in your mind? Do you feel the way the air feels? Just think about your senses. How do you like to go up in a swing? Up in the air so blue. Oh, I do think it is a pleasant thing ever a child can do. Up in the air and over the wall till I can see so wide. River and trees and cattle and all over the countryside. Till I look down on the garden green, down on the roof so brown. Up in the air I go flying again, up in the air and down. So when we read this poem, the author gives us what we're seeing as if we're going up in the air on the swing and down and back up and down. So it talks about when you're high up in the air, you feel the air and it's so blue. And everybody who's been on a swing in their mind can kind of feel the wind hitting them, knowing that you're going back and forth in this swing, right? So as the author goes up and down, they go up in the air and over the wall, and then they can see rivers and trees and cattle and a countryside. And then they go down and they're seeing green, and then down on the roof so brown, and then back up and down. So this author is helping us envision what we can see in a swing, okay, when we're swinging back and forth. And it's amazing, considering how short the poem is, how you can experience it. So what our directions are right now to do in this activity is to think about what the author is showing us and reflecting on the poetry. So directions: read the poem 2 times. After you read the poem the second time, mark the text by the following directions. check off each box as you complete the task. The first part is highlight a part that shows that the poet likes to swing. The second thing that you need to do is highlight the rhyming words to find a pattern. So remember, rhyming are words that sound the same. I think some of us mistook yesterday alliteration and rhyming. Alliteration is having the same beginning sound, right? So babbling, Brooke, suddenly, Susan. Rhyming words are words that have similar sounds and they sound the same, not in the beginning, but more towards the end of the end of the word. So sky, high, lie. Those would be rhyming words, okay? Box, tops, that kind of thing. So here we go. And then the last part says highlight a part that tells two things that the child sees when swinging. That's the part that we need to highlight where we see something that the child is seeing, the imagery that the author is showing. So then we have directions, read the poem 2 times, and then you're going to respond to these again. So that means you're reading this a total of 4 times. Do you agree that the poet is brave? Why or why not? And explain. Remember, you need to restate the question, answer the question, and use evidence from the text. So you need to find something specifically from the text that tells you whether the author is brave or not. Think about a time you were brave. What happened? Tell about it below. So directions on this next page. The poet passes his summer days by riding the swing. Think about a game you like to play during summer and respond to the following questions. What is your favorite game to play during the summer and why? How do you play? Do you need special equipment? Tell me about it. And then write a persuasive paragraph considering others to play this game also. Okay? So those are your directions for today. Okay? So I'm going to just quickly show you how you can highlight the poem because on this page it's asking you to highlight it. It says copy the highlighter, strip and paste over the sentence from. So you can do it one of 2 ways. You can take this and then you can press edit copy and then go edit paste so that you could put the highlighter on the lines that you want. Okay. And remember the blue is highlight a part that shows that the poet likes to swing. So I'm not going to find that part. You need to. So you can highlight it that way. And so the next says highlight the rhyming words. So we're going to take this. We're going to say edit copy. And then we're going to say edit paste. But the thing is, if there's rhyming words, there's more than one. So you're going to say edit paste. I might even say edit paste again. And you can change the size. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. You can change the size of the box here so that you can put it right over the word and make it. So you should have rhyming words, so words that rhyme with one another, okay? So it goes every other line, but not always, as we stated with our other rhyming poem. Okay, does that make sense? So, and then these, you actually can respond on this box, okay? So that is your assignment for today, boys and girls, and we are thinking about when we're reading poetry, poetry is creative and the poet's intent is for you to visualize and use imagery. It's to appeal to your senses, okay? So when you're reading, I want you to and you're reading closely, I want you to always think about what you see when you're reading your poetry.